Welcome to Backstage with Richard Ridge. Disney's smash hit musical Aladdin has become a worldwide phenomenon. It is celebrating its 9th year on Broadway, where it continues to play to packed houses here at the New Amsterdam Theater, where we dropped by to catch up with Michael James Scott, who plays the genie. Not only does he play him on Broadway, he's also played him in London, the North American tour, and Australia. First of all, I am thrilled to be sitting with you here. What a dressing room you have, my friend.
Welcome. Oh, it's so nice to have you here, of course. I mean, you know, we had to have you to the dressing room, to the Cave of Wonders.
That's what you call it, the Cave of Wonders. I love this.
I actually call it the Cave of Kiki.
Well, let me tell you, no one does it better than Disney.
You're right.
So what is it like living in the world of Disney and the world of his fantastic musical of Aladdin?
I mean, you know, like you said, there is nothing Disney. There's a true Disney magic. Like the phrase Disney magic is actually real. It really is, and I don't think I really fully quite understood it until now, and what it brings. I think for me it has been this this energy and this vibe of when you hear the word Disney and what it evokes to literally everyone in the world. You know, there's always a positive, joyful, wishful, wonderment thing to it. And so to be able to be connected to that, and that be my job, and that be the thing that I'm doing on Broadway, is a gift. I mean, it's a gift. It really is a gift. So I for me, I think that's what it feels like. It just feels like a big magical gift to be a part of this family, and to be, you know, have been doing it for a while and been in this business for a while, to know the difference and what I have here, and just in comparison to other things, it's magical. And
living in the world of Aladdin, what a beautiful musical.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, it's so good. The thing about Aladdin that is so great is it's really the joy, right? Like the joy of Aladdin and what it brings to people. It is such a beloved story all over the world, and I've been very blessed to get to go around the world to play this role as the genie, you know, in my Cave of Kiki. But it is so beloved, and I think that has been such a another gift. I really feel like, to be a part of that, because people, not only do they know it, there's an ownership. There's like an ownership with it, and that in the beginning it kind of scared me, just because I didn't, you know, it's like living up to that. Yeah. But now it's just such a rare thing, and it's such a rare entity to have in this day and age, of something so beloved and so like held in such high regard to people around the world, that it feels it's a joyful thing that people really, really love, and they love it with all their hearts, and they love to be able to show their families, and you know, their kids, and some of their kids' kids, you know, this show, introducing them to Aladdin and what it brings. I mean, it's the joy.
You know, you talk about a worldwide audience. How many companies and how many productions have you done?
Oh gosh. Well, so I've done 4. So I've done here. I did Australia. I did London. I did the North American tour, and we're coming up on 3,000. Honestly, it was in that moment where I was like, oh wow, like what a beautiful career thing that I will look back on in my life. That is truly something that very few people can say they did in this crazy business, as we both know, is very unpredictable on so many levels. Yeah. So to be able to have this and be able to make this milestone with this show and this entity, with this brand, all the things, is like, I mean, it's a dream come true.
Yeah. No, because, you know, I'm sure there are other people in this show, I mean, who have been with the show from the beginning, or maybe near the beginning, but to play a role like the genie, one of the lead roles like this. I mean, Kathy Rigby, Peter Pan, Yul Brynner in The King and I, and now you. You know, so it's a fabulous milestone to have when you're playing with something. So take me back. What was it like? You won a big award in Australia for playing the genie, didn't you?
I did. I won the Helpman Award, which is, you know, it's considered their Tony Awards there, which was, and the crazy thing about, I mean, Australia was literally life changing for me. I went there, that country just like embraced me. They opened their arms to me. And they were like, "Welcome to our country," and it was just such a beautiful thing. And I didn't expect, I mean, anything being there in terms of that kind of a recognition. So when I was nominated, I was really floored because I was a foreigner. You know, I was kind of coming into their space and coming into their world, and I just, you're protective of your world, right? But it was really, really special, and it was awesome to be able to represent Disney on Broadway, you know, in a way that, James Monroe Iglehart, who won the Tony for playing the genie, originating it on Broadway, I really feel, it was so monumental on so many levels, but this is one of the most physically demanding roles in Broadway history. There is what you physically have to do. All of it is just, it's a lot. So to be recognized for that, of course you don't expect that. But I just think it was such a really awesome thing to be able to feel, to continue the legacy on and down under, if you will, and be a part of that legacy that Disney on Broadway does all around the world. So, I got to kind of put my stamp on it and won this big award. I literally blacked out. I have no idea what people say it, they were like, "Do you have a speech prepared?" I'm like, "No." And they're like, "Well, you should have one." And I was like, "I don't even, what do you mean?" And the crazy thing about that, so it happened, and there I am. I go up and we perform, we also performed that night. So it was just like a whirlwind, as the Tonys are, as any big award show is. It's just a lot. You've been there, what the energy is like. It's a lot. But I think what I loved was that it was representing something bigger. I was representing diversity, representation, inclusivity, things that country needed, and they made it known that it was needed, and really, told me that, and in so many ways. So that was actually a really cool thing. It was also, it made news when I thanked my husband then he was my fiance, but I said, "I can't wait to marry you, when I get back home." And it made news because, it wasn't legal. They were still fighting for, equality and things there. And so it kind of made national. There I am, national news, Like, there was just a whirlwind. I cannot tell you, Richie. It was just like it just kept going and going and going. And I was like, oh my gosh, okay, and this and this and this. But, when you get a platform like that, you better do something with it.
Yeah. But that's the Disney magic too. Like I said, you were in Australia. Everybody over there loves Aladdin too.
Yes. They love it. I mean, everywhere in the world. It really is. We've had productions in Hamburg. We've had productions in Japan. We've had productions in Mexico City. It goes on and on, the list of this production of Aladdin. And it is what I say. It's people are like, what are the differences? What are the audiences like? What do you feel? And it feels the same because the energy is so vibrant. People want to love it. They want to love you. They want to love the show. They want to be there with the joy and feel that joy from the Broadway production that was created here, right in New York City, and what we did to sort of expand out into the world. So they loved it. And from the very beginning, there was an excitement about it. It was like when Lion King was over there, there was an excitement when the first time it came over there, and then cut to Aladdin got to be there, and it was just an excitement that I feel from the people who really, really were excited that Aladdin was coming to their country. So there was an ownership over that I feel was pretty awesome, and I was excited to step into those shoes and be their genie for them there.
Okay, you also did the North American tour.
Yes.
Everywhere. What was it like? Favorite moment from doing the tour? What's one of your favorite moments?
Oh my gosh. I think, okay, one of them was, I opened it in Los Angeles, which was at the Pantages Theater. The Pantages is iconic and gorgeous and all the things. But it was like, I remember like driving on Hollywood Boulevard and there was like this gigantic
Photo of you?
flag, if you want. I mean, it was just like gigantic thing of myself, Adam Jacobs, who originated Aladdin, Courtney Reed, who just took over Satine in Moulin Rouge, and she was playing Jasmine, and the three of us were up on Hollywood Boulevard, and I was just like, I mean, in my head, I was thinking like, wow, like when I think about that little chubby chocolate boy from Orlando, Florida, one day would look up on Hollywood Boulevard and see his face on that, right there, and all there's flags all over the city as well. But I mean, that to me was such a big moment because you're on the Hollywood Walk of Fame street, all the things, like it's all right there.
And there you are above.
And there I was, like just looking over everybody, like, what's up?
That's me. I hope you took a lot of pictures.
Oh yeah, so many. Are you kidding me? My mom and dad stopped everyone in the street to tell them that was their son. I mean, I couldn't stop them from telling literally everyone. We were in a diner and they're like, well, if you walk out on Hollywood Boulevard, my mom just like, I'm like, Mom, like they don't care. And she's like, yes, they do. They're gonna care.
And they're going to the show.
And they're coming to the show. Yeah, she sold many tickets. I'm like, yeah, she needs to get a little percentage because the tickets she has sold. You gotta go see my son. He's playing the genie. I'm like, okay.
What about London? How exciting was that?
Well, London was awesome because London was I did Hair, the revival of Hair, and I also did that in London as well.
You were the dance captain?
I was the associate the associate choreographer and the dance captain, and in the show. I mean, I know there's lots of things. Yes, thank you.
Okay.
But that was incredible because some of the same crew from Hair were at the theater when Prince Edward Theater in London, and it was so much fun to get to go back but play the genie in London. London is so special. I mean, it's such that theater district is so...
Well, those are iconic theaters, too, like you said, besides playing
my gosh,
the incredible New Amsterdam here, the Pantages there.
Yes, you feel
the history,
You feel the history, which is really cool. And I brought over my in-laws, I brought over, my parents, I brought them in, to really experience London and, a big old musical there in London. And London, the community there, the West End Wendy's, if you will, they all were so wonderful and so welcoming, which was really great. But wait, I forgot to so I got to go back to Orlando, Florida to play the genie in my hometown. And when you're talking about the North American tour, because I was like, I can't forget about this moment. So Disney Theatricals asked me to go back, home to do this. And that was, to this day, for me, will go down as like career highlight. To be able to get to do this role in Orlando, where Orlando's there, like, this is our hometown boy. I mean, they are very, very, very proud, right? But like, everyone came out of everywhere to see it, to see the show, to see me in the show. My who I call superheroes, angels who really helped me when I was a little boy growing up in the Orlando's a big arts community that really cares about their young artists, really, really. And I was one of those young artists. So to be able to get to come back and for them to like embrace the show. My mother had a full, soul food dinner for us in between shows one of the weekends that we were there for like the entire company. Everyone, she's like, come on down. And she had a whole thing. We had church buses roll up, I mean, it was insane and something I will never, ever, ever forget. And I'm so thankful that, Disney Theatricals had made that happen for me.
Okay, take me back to that first night on stage as the genie. Was it here in New York?
Yes. Okay. Well, so I was the original standby.
Yeah.
So you want that night, or do you want?
Yeah, let's do your first standby night. Yeah.
Well, so, I was actually on our very first weekend of previews. So I was actually on that Friday night. We started the show, our first preview was on a Wednesday. So that Friday, the very first night where we had like a lot of new changes in the show, was the night that I was on. So as you can imagine, the team, like everyone was like, what do you need? Like, oh my, and this is a funny story, and I love telling, like, this is a funny story because Tom Schumacher, the head of Disney Theatricals, and Court, like, they all, and Casey Nichol, everyone, they were all, oh my gosh, Chad Beglin, I mean, the
They
list
were all
goes on.
there that
They
night?
were all, oh, of course. But my favorite thing was, before that, they were all in this dressing room. I was in this dressing room, and they were like, is there anything you need? You know, all the thing, and I was like, what I need right now is to be alone. And so we have this, so Tom is always like, do you remember when you kicked me out of your dressing room?
I love that.
I'm like, Tom, I didn't kick you out. And he's like, no, we all. But it was just like, it was such an interesting moment. It was like, that moment in my career, if you will, was like such a kind of like defining thing of like what I need, right?
Yeah.
And what is it, like, what I need to do to prepare, what I need to, I'm going to be fine. I'm gonna be fine. I know it's a lot, and it's a lot to think. Oh my gosh, like it's just a lot. It was the first night of changes, so that was that night, and it went well. You know, I mean, it was scary.
You're still here.
I'm still here. I'm still here in this dressing room. So that was amazing. But my first night, really, as I really call that first night of me as the genie was my was in Sydney, Australia. I really feel like that was my night because, well, at least for me as the genie, because I had a rehearsal process. It was my company. That was my my Ainsley Mellum, who was my Aladdin, who was Australian. He was like, we were paired together, like all the things, right? Ariel Jacobs, the sister of Adam Jacobs, who played our Jasmine, and the three of us were there. So it was just Ariel and I, Americans, coming over. But that night was so special, and lots of the Disney team was there. They were all in Australia, and there was so much emotion. But after Friend Like Me, the audience still on their feet, which is very rare in special. I mean, it's rare anywhere. It's very rare in Australia, and it was just a moment that I'll never forget. And just to see all those people who put their faith in me and what having trust in the thing that I do, my ability for me to be one of the leaders of their company in Australia, it was a lot, and it was such a beautiful moment, and a moment that I really, and I always say this, it's like, of course, being at the right place at the right time, all those things are all important in this business, but if you're not ready for it, if you're not prepared for it, then it just goes by. I was ready. I had worked very, very hard in my career to be for that moment. And so it was like, okay, you better step into your light, and you better stand in it, and don't be afraid of it. So it was that moment that felt like, all right, because then they all could leave the next day and know that the show was fine. The team could leave. Everybody could be like, all right, we're good. We're good. We're all good. It's a great company. We're in there. And I took so much pride in being, holding that special place for me and being in that light for that company.
Yeah. There's nothing like a Disney audience either when you go, because like you said, it's people, it's grandparents, parents, kids of kids. Everybody wants to have the best time.
Yeah.
And you get that when you see a Disney show.
Yeah.
You must have so many incredible, like, stage door memories of meeting audience members.
Oh gosh, yes. Well, it is that nostalgia thing, and people when they come and because our show, what I love about our show, and I'm so proud of it, is it's for everyone. Yeah. It literally is an everybody show, and that is so cool to see. Groups of girls out, groups of guys out, couples out, families out. I mean, literally everyone, and I've seen it all. Yeah. I think one of my, some of my favorite memories in seeing audience members are a lot of like the little kids of color who see themselves on stage and see what the possibilities are. And not just me, but like seeing the color that we have on stage. Period. That is a beautiful thing, and I have the very luxurious thing in the show where I get to see and break the fourth wall and talk directly to the audience, and flirt with them, and and give you and really connect with the audience. And when I see them looking around on the stage is pretty incredible. And sometimes I have to I'm like, Michael, you're doing the show, because I'm like, oh my gosh, look, like they're looking up. It's like Michael Maliakel, who's playing Aladdin right now, is amazing. He's so wonderful. He also has like 12 packs of abs. It's very distracting. I'm like, Michael, you need to work out more. Like, what's going on? But it is so cool to sit for me to watch a family, who look like him, and see the parents tell their kids, look, and then them fixated on him, and they literally watch his every move. I've gotten to see that firsthand and see what happens to our audience members. Because, when people are like, can you see us? Yes, we can see you in the audience. How dare you? We can see you, and I love it. But that's one of the most magical things about this show is the color represented on stage, period.
Well, that's, I think, one of the greatest things about Disney shows are Disney musicals. They're for everyone.
Yes.
That's why they can play all around the world in any country, and everybody has the same, like you said, their same reaction. Doesn't matter what country you're in.
Yes.
It's the same reaction,
It does not matter. It doesn't matter. Joy is universal.
Yeah.
And that to me represents everything that, Disney on Broadway and it stands for. There is joy in all of their shows. There is some kind of joy.
Yeah.
And that's pretty incredible. That's an incredible mark to leave on our industry, but it's also an incredible mark to leave on the world, and that's what they're doing.
All right, you are phenomenal in this role. How early do you get to the theater? Like, what's your day like?
Oh gosh, well, I am preparing for the role like. What you laughing at? I mean, it's such an interesting question, because it changes for me all the time. I go through periods of like, I swim a lot. That is my biggest warm up, is a swim, a big old swim, and I actually warm up in the water. So it's a when I do trills and things. So if you're ever swimming by me,
go? You don't tell me.
Well, I won't tell. I'll tell you off camera.
Well, I want to go and watch you trill and do your pre-show.
It's so funny. Literally, I've swam next to people, and they're like, wow, like, are you singing in the water? I'm like, oh, sorry. I'm like, I am, yes.
That's fabulous.
But I warm up in the water because it's the most amazing thing for breath support.
Okay.
And for this role, you need breath support. To prepare for this role, I was literally singing full out Beyonce style on a treadmill twice a day, like full friend like me, full out. Like that to prepare, to get myself, in a state.
At home or at a public gym?
Well, it was a private gym.
Private gym. Because I want to go to the private gym and watch you perform Beyonce, and I want to watch you swim when you do your Ariel Little Mermaid warm up before you come here to the New Am.
Yes. I have a makeup call at an hour before the show.
Wow.
And so I'm usually here a half hour before that.
Okay. To
just get myself in the state. I put on my reality television. I know it's absolutely horrible.
No, it's relaxing.
It relaxes me, and for me, I can't. Like the thing is that because I am at a 10 from the jump.
Yeah.
to be able to just like not think about something when I just put on like what about Wheel of Fortune, like even Jeopardy sometimes too much for me to think about.
Yeah.
So even though I love it, but I'm like, this is too much thinking for me. I gotta
Like Wheel of Fortune, you watch them win money, and
Yes.
then you're like, I got to go on stage.
And I'm on stage, So it's about an hour and a half. And then and it's really, and I actually like to get in I don't like to get dressed until pretty soon, pretty close to the show. It just gives me so that like I'm kind of like, all right, let's go. So at 5 minutes, I get dressed. And then I go down. I know it's people are always like, oh my gosh, it's very soon. So then I get dressed and then I go down. But then I have a break. I have a little break where, before I really come back and I'm like the train that is the genie. But it's when I put on that blue costume, like the iconic blue. It's now iconic. But I put on that blue costume and it feels like armor. Truly every night when I zip it up and my dresser like snaps the last snap on me, on my incredible Greg Barnes designed gorgeous costume, it is like armor, and I'm the genie.
Because I was going to ask you, when do you see the genie coming around the corner? And it's when you're snapped into your outfit, right?
That's it, right there. And because I'm like in the mirror, and so usually the way we're positioned in the dressing room, I'm usually positioned in that mirror right there. So we're looking at that mirror in my whole costume. And my amazing dresser, Kathy Klein, she gets me she gets me into my costume, and we look at it together. And she's an old school dresser, so she's very, very old school Broadway dresser, and has dressed many incredible stars. And so it is really, really, it's really, really cool the way she dresses me, and like how she gets me into my costume, and how it's really a ceremony. It feels like before we go on.
Okay, you've done a lot of performances. 3,000
coming up
too. Anything crazy happen on stage for you during a performance that you would share?
Oh my gosh. I mean, well, what's fun about the genie is that I don't really like. I can get away with a lot.
Totally.
I can get away with a lot of things. Missed lines, random cues. Like I literally could just kind of get away with something, and be like, oh, forgot that.
That was
what
me.
I mean? Like that, or whatever it is, and move on. But I think probably it might have been. There was a time where my genie like lift thing. We had my Lord. Our crews are all amazing, and sometimes those set pieces and things, they have a mind of their own, and it's like as much operating, as much testing as you could do, it's like it just something goes wrong, which is the beauty of live theater, honestly. And please, the audience loves it. But there was no like genie lift, and I was like, okay, we're not gonna stop. We're just gonna move. We're gonna keep going. So I was like, what do I do to like make it a thing? So I was like, well, I am a dancer. Like I can do something. So I was like, I shanade from the wings, came in, did like a PK, shanade, a turn, a jump, up, down. And when you would think, in my head I was like, oh, the audience is going to be like, oh my God, this is amazing. It was like this. Like it wasn't really special.
Yeah.
Like I thought it was special.
Totally.
Because it was so anticlimactic from what the buildup was. But I did have fireworks. I did have pyro to help the situation.
With your Sinead turns and everything else.
But there's been always, there's the beauty of, we have, knocking on wood, on all the wood, we actually have, and it's very rare when things go wrong. So, that's I'm good with that. I've forgotten costume pieces before, where I'm like, oh Lord, okay.
As long as you appear on stage.
As long as I appear on stage, I'm good. And so there's nothing crazy, but little things.
One of my final questions is, if you could sum up the best part of being a part of the Disney family and being a part of the Aladdin family, what is it for you?
gosh, I think it is. Well, it is so special to be from Orlando, Florida, where Disney, Disney World it is, and for it to have been such a part of my life growing up. Where, for example, we couldn't afford to go to Disney, and to fast forward and think about where I am right now, and the fact that I'm like, we couldn't afford it, and there have been numerous times where I have just brought my family to Disney now. I know people, Rich. I know some people. I know some Disney people.
Your mom does too.
My mom does too. But I think that it is not lost on me that thing that is that childhood. Walt Disney himself. It's literally about the child, right? Like it's like a child's eyes. It is not lost on me of the actual, what I feel like magic I've gotten to be a part of. And, I've been hashtag theater nerd for life. Like I grew up in wanting to do Broadway. That was my thing. But what I didn't realize, I don't think I knew that like adding Disney to Broadway would be like even beyond my wildest dreams.
Yeah.
So I think it's the family that this legacy that I am a part of, that I'll just never forget. It's also the fact that I am playing one of the most iconic characters in the world. That to me is something mind-blowing. That was never on my radar, was never a thing that I was even like after. So to be able to play the genie in Aladdin on Broadway is that alone, I think, is what I will never not believe that. Like it will still be unbelievable to me.
Yeah.
So I'm grateful. I'm very, very grateful, and I'm grateful that I've lasted this long in my career, and so all of a sudden I've like crossed the corner where I'm like, I'm not the baby anymore in the company or in the cast, where I was always like, and that's really exciting. And it's great to be able to have learned from all of the amazing people who were before me. And it is not lost on me, on all of those incredible actors of color who were before me, where now to this day I can sit in this role, being backed by one of the biggest entertainment giants in the world, and be the face of, one of the faces of a very big, successful Broadway show.
Beautiful. It's always great to catch up with you. Thank
You too.
Thank you for all the joy you bring audiences.
Oh, thank you. And come to my dressing room when you come by, just come on by.
What do you call it again?
The Cave of Kiki.
I'm coming back. Good to see you as always.
You too.